Nice and early there, Ian. I guess 7:30 is not really early, but
It's not too bad.
yeah.
It's pretty early.
Well, I'm doing a conversational English lessons with some friends of friends in Korea, and with the time difference there, we meet at 6:15, 3 times a week. So this is kind of a later morning for me.
Later mornings, okay.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to it though.
You're teaching them English, just conversing with them, or?
Yeah. Basically, we're just talking. I try to keep it interesting. I send them YouTube videos, people with different accents, to try and parse them out that way. But it's fun. They're good people.
안녕.
I don't speak Korean.
That's all I know.
Yeah, it helps actually, and they're like, "Oh, what's this word mean?" And they'll say something in Korean, and I'm like, "Can't help you."
Yeah, language is one of those automatons. Mr. Gurdjieff actually talks about it in the chapter 1 of Tales. From the author when he was trying to figure out what language to write in, and we get so automatic. I don't know what I'm going to say 100 words from now, but the word that I say 100 words from now will be grammatically correct. It will fit in the sentence without my having to think about it. Part of it involves the moving center because words are very, vocal in the muscles. But there's a similar process. You walk towards a step. You're not conscious of the, tens of thousands of calculations that your subconscious mind has to make in order for you to land on the first step with absolute precision. So when, your heel landing on the first step, you do it perhaps like myself with your right foot. It is so automatic. The same with language. At a certain point when we develop the facility with language, it becomes what he called an automatism, and it just flows. So my words are just flowing, and it's very hard to actually bring mindful awareness into my own conversation. I don't know if any of you have come across the concept of reading Beelzebub tales visually. Has anyone ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. So, when, if you read a sentence, John went to the store. We have an understanding of that. But if you could visualize John walking to the store, so whenever there's the possibility of having a visual image, rather than just reading the words automatically, to read them with the visual component. Right in the beginning of Tales, he talks about 2 different forms of thought. Thinking, mentation by thought, which is actually the linguistic form of mentation, thinking by words, and then thinking by form. And he says all animals think by form. So
what does that mean, Alan?
Well, I mean, my dog knows the neighborhood. He doesn't know English, he doesn't know language, but when we walk certain areas, he knows where he's going. He's got some kind of map inside his mind. Maybe even cats are even more so, because a cat, when it goes across the street or it goes to a place under the bush, it must visualize. It has some kind of knowing, some kind of intelligence that's guiding its behavior. It's learned something. And I'll tell you, when you start to read a book like Tales, in terms of the visual images, you slow right down. So you imagine, each thing, anywhere where there's the possibility of bringing a visual image to play, it makes you slow down. Iman, how are you doing? How are things in Damascus?
Hopefully better. Last time I said better, and and the sound, came up. So I'm sorry, but we're hoping that it's better.
Do you have any idea what that sound was?
Yeah, it was an airplane flying very low.
Oh, okay.
And it was heading to where ISIS located.
Okay.
So Yeah.
So it was a jet. Was it just
Yeah.
flying, very quick and very low, that it sounded almost like a rocket or something? Yeah.
Exactly. And luckily, that was the day when we didn't have any more, where the area was evacuated from ISIS, or it was cleaned from ISIS. So I think it was a positive, positive sound.
How far away are they from you?
Well, we were surrounded by them, like this area, probably 20 minutes by car.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been, imagine Atlanta, and one of the major suburbs in Atlanta, like maybe a quarter of it was, and she's living in the other part. So it's like the city there was a war zone within Damascus itself, and a part of it was under the rebel control. And when we talk about rebel control, we're talking about the real nasty Islamicists who behead people and they torture them, and ISIS. I don't believe it was ISIS, but it was a very similar organization to ISIS.
They were beside ISIS.
Yeah. Reggie, your microphone is off. At least it's showing that on my screen. There you are. Okay.
It's like that. It's just because my roosters.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have control. If you want to turn it off at any time, I just thought you might not have known. If the roosters are there, please turn it off.
Okay.
I'm not sure where Michael is. Last week, Michael had some family to attend to, one of his daughters. Right now in Australia, it is 10:37 at night. Hopefully he will join us. How did everyone do just in terms of observing the face, trying to observe from within our face?
I had I don't want to say I had a hard time remembering to do it, but it was hard to kind of, like, I'd think of it and go, I remember my face. I'd kind of feel into it, and it would always feel really tight. Very, very much like a facade or cardboard, something, just dry and solid.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time feeling it at either other times. If there were times when my face didn't feel that way, I didn't notice it.
Okay, so you only notice it. You only notice it in periods of tension. Was it your forehead, your cheek, your jaw? Are you one of the people that has the TMJ, the temporomandible joint, where it gets tight, or was it different place in your face?
The most sensation of tension was around the eyes.
Okay.
So like the eye sockets, and also between the eyes, the forehead right here.
Okay.
And then like not so much the jaw up here, but kind of in and around the cheeks and the chin. It feels like the jaw, but it's not the joint.
Were you able to capture the emotional flavor behind that, besides just tension? Was there a specific taste of the emotion that you could give name, like anger or upsetness or despair or heaviness or dread, or
it's kind of hard to pin down specifically like that. If I had to pin it down, I would say probably anger or mistrust, or some kind of combination.
Okay.
The general feeling was just one of like keeping something walled in, not of a need for protection.
Yeah.
That makes sense. At one point I tried to do, maybe a couple of times, I tried to kind of relax, consciously relax the muscles. And then I would notice sadness. Like there would be kind of some sadness or some, I don't really have a word for that.
Yeah.
Like sadness, but louder, or like the difference between crying and wailing. kind of like that sadness or kind of a stronger, more intense form of it.
Sort of like despondency.
Yeah, despair, despondency,
Despair,
something like
despondency.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else make
Yeah,
any
really.
observations?
I started lifting weights personally, I guess, around the time that I started. And I guess I was looking, what can you kind of find in the body, that might be in there that might, need a different form of activation. And so I guess I noticed like some tension and I guess maybe some like anger and stuff in like the lower regions, like right around. But in general, like I can always feel my face really good because there's always like some type of energy always like right here, even when my face is like neutral sometimes. I don't know.
Okay. There is no right and wrong answer to these. It's just what did we observe? And the fact is, when we share our observations, I mean, for me, when I was 16, I fainted and I passed out and I hit concrete with my chin and I smashed all sorts of teeth in my mouth, gashed open my chin, and I was in tremendous pain for 2 years. And then one day I woke up and I wasn't in pain, but I carry so much emotion in this part of my face. It's unbelievable. It's just like, relax your face. Why are you carrying this tension? And I've been observing this for years. And I have a feeling it goes back to that. And it's just like, let it go. Just relax it. So for me, I think it was because of the accident when I was 16. But we do tend to carry a lot of emotion in our face. Any other observations?
Me, maybe.
Okay, Reggie?
Yeah, I just want to share that it's almost it is like the same for me. It's a lot of tension on this part, my jaw. And that's it. Just want to share that.
Is it, I mean, the back in the jaw, quite often that's actually the TMJ, the temporal mandible joint that holds the jaw to the face. Do you grind your teeth at night in bed? Do you know? Has the dentist ever mentioned things like that? Or
I don't think so. It doesn't happen. But yeah, I feel that it's difficult for me to feel, my eyes or right here in my cheeks, but right here on my jaw, it's very clear. It's strong. Sometimes since I started to, to put attention and try to notice that, it's hard. It's painful sometimes.
Okay, any other comments?
Some sort of happiness come to me when I remember the homework we had last week. The tension in my face sparked some kind of happiness. I said again. And I remember the exercise is composed some kind of emotion that makes me feel better. Anyways, I had a meeting with some lawyers because I'm fixing some judicial statements, and I remember that I never came to me in that meeting. But I mix the emotion with the tension on my face as a result into awareness, a little awareness that and my impression towards other people may be better. That's what I feel.
Okay. I just, before we get too far, I want to just point out that where we are in the world, Ben is from just in Virginia, just south of Washington, D.C. I'm in
Mhm.
Toronto, just on top of Lake Ontario. Ian is in Portland, Oregon. Reggie's in Mexico, in the south of Mexico. Martin is in Norway, up in the fjords and the beautiful Norwegian countryside. Guido is in Medellin, Colombia, and Iman is in Damascus, Syria. So we're all around the world. I was hoping Michael would join us. He's probably got something going on. I'm not sure. Then we would have had Perth, Australia, but this is good. You know, we're all around the world and we're all connected, and we're all sort of developing some kind of harmonization with each other. Now, let's do an inner exercise. I'm actually starting to form a real live group with a group of people on Tuesday evenings. And it's going to take a lot longer to form a live group than it is online group, because online we share the interests and it's much easier for us to connect and to come into contact with each other. In real life group, people have to hear about it and it's got to be marketed, and but someone came to actually another meetup group that I host, and she just threw away a comment that she said she was a student of Paul Beadler. And my ears went up and it was like, huh? And I told her she has to come to my Tuesday night meetings, and she has. And she's come to my mindfulness walk. And Paul Beadler, in 1923, he was a young man. I think he was born in 1906. He was a young man studying at that point in Holland. He was American. And he went and stayed at the Prieuré under Mr. Gurdjieff. You know, he became good friends with Olga Viana and a lot of the people there. And he was a student of Mr. Gurdjieff right up until Mr. Gurdjieff's death. And Paul Beadler died, I think it was in 1998. And he set up a facility or a place called Northion Forest, where people would come, and it was a forest and it was a rural place. And this lady who came to one of my meetups, she belonged to a group for about 15 years that would, every 6 weeks, they would get into a van or a couple of cars and drive from Toronto to Pennsylvania, where Northion Forest was, and spend the weekend working with Paul Beadler. So I immediately got up my pen and I said, well, what exercises did you learn? What did they teach you? And a lot of this actually I've discovered is online. There's a website called endlesssearch.co.uk that is set up by someone named Ian McFarlane, who was the person in Toronto who ran the groups, because they would go and meet weekly in Toronto, and then every 6 weeks they would drive down there. And so, not right now, but in a moment, I'm going to do an exercise that she taught me. It's actually on the Endless Search website. So she made me kind of go. She didn't make me go and look there. I knew that there were exercises there, but it's an interesting exercise. But I'll do it in a minute. But right now, let's just try to relax our body. Mr. Gurdjieff says that relaxation should come from the head down. So just, using your breath, using your breathing, using the power of your mind. Mr. Gurdjieff said that the mind should really act as the role of the policeman, and it should tell parts of the body what to do. So just relax the top of your head. And then relax your forehead. And relax your eyebrows, your eyes. Relax your nose and face, the sides of your head, your ears. Relax your mouth. Relax your jaw. Relax your throat to neck. Relax your shoulders. And then focusing on your right arm, relax your upper right arm, your lower right arm, and then relax your right hand and fingers. And then relax your upper left arm, your lower left arm, And then relax your left hand and fingers. And then bring your awareness to your chest and relax your upper chest. Then relax your midriff and solar plexus. And then relax your lower abdomen. And then relax your upper back, your middle back, your lower back, and relax your buttocks and hips. And then moving down your right leg, relax your upper right leg, your lower right leg, and relax your right foot and toes. And then relax your upper left leg, your lower left leg, and your left foot and toes. And then let's do this a second time, starting again, relaxing the top of the head, relaxing the forehead, the eyebrows, the nose and face, the ears, the sides of the head, the mouth, the jaw, the neck and throat, the shoulders, your right upper arm, right lower arm, right hands and fingers, your left upper arm, your left lower arm, your left hands and fingers, and then relaxing your upper chest, your midriff and solar plexus, your lower abdomen, your upper back, your middle back, your lower back, your hips and buttocks, your right upper leg, right lower leg, right feet and toes, your left upper leg, left lower leg, and left feet and toes. And then let's do this a third time, because things should be done in threes. So relax the top of your head, your forehead, your eyebrows, eyes, nose and face, the sides of your head, your ears, your mouth, your jaw, your throat and neck, your shoulders, your right upper arm, your right lower arm, your right hands and fingers, your left upper arm, left lower arm, left hand and fingers, your chest, your midriff, your lower abdomen, your upper back, middle back, lower back, your buttocks and hips, your right upper leg, right lower leg, right foot, left upper leg, left lower leg, and left foot. And just, work down your body for a second. Just start at the top of your head, work down your body, and just see if there's any place. Notice if there's any place in your body where there's any tension. Just being aware of where there's any tension in your body. And then let's do Mr. Gurdjieff's filling exercise. As a vessel fills with warm golden honey, just imagine filling your body with sensation, starting in your toes, then moving to your heels, and then from your feet up to your ankles, filling with sensation up to your knees, up to your hips and hands, up to your mid-torso and elbows, up to your chest, upper back, upper arms, filling with sensation from the bottom of your feet, up to your shoulders, up your neck, up to the top of your head. And try to be aware of your whole body, from the bottom of your feet all the way up to the top of your head, sensing your body. Now, there are 3 lines of work. And Uspensky said the first line is for the self, the second is for the group, and the third is for the work. I prefer to think of the first line of work being for myself, the second line of work being for my fellow human beings, and the third line being for this holy planet, Earth herself, great nature and Earth. To recognize that I'm working along these 3 lines, that I'm not just doing this for myself, that it extends outwards. For instance, some of you may have read the Facebook post that I posted from Conversations with Gurdjieff by Catherine Hulme, where she talked about the fact that our essence is made up of, back then it was 2 billion people. She used the word 2,000 million. but our essence is what we share with all other humans on this planet. And Mr. Gurdjieff said that in terms of our bodily awareness, it's very important to realize that we are not our body, and we are not our essence either. We should not be identified with these two parts of our being. Mr. Gurdjieff said that, I'm just going to find the exact quote, if I can, or maybe not. You know, he said that what we have to learn to do is to subjugate to one single eye, or this is actually Catherine Hulme, subjugate to one single eye the personality in you. And what we have to say over and over again, I am, I have a body. So our body is really something that we possess. It's like an object that we own. It is not who we are. So I am, I have a body. I am, I have a body. And she said that Mr. Gurdjieff told her to repeat this phrase over and over and over. I am, and I have a body. And by saying I am and differentiating it from I have a body, we are beginning to create an I within us that could control the other eyes, the I am. We begin to create a centralizing principle, a centralizing aspect of ourself that then begins to subjugate the various other parts within us. So I am, I have a body. So be aware of your body right now. Be aware of your body from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. Be aware of how the bottom of your feet are pressing down against the ground. Be aware of those places underneath your legs that are in contact with the chair beneath you. Become aware of the effect of gravity on your body, how gravity is pulling your body down in those various pressure points where your body connects with the chair, where your bottom of your feet connect with the floor or ground beneath you. Become aware of that downward pull, how your arms and legs, how gravity is pulling you down. And perhaps you even become aware of how your body is designed to counteract the effects of gravity. The skeletal system in the body, our spine, the bones in our body are all designed, the tendons, the ligaments, in such a way to keep us straight, to counteract the effects of gravity. Now I'm going to try and do something. I don't know if I will be able to do it, but I'm going to try. See if I can create a slideshow. So this comes, let me see if I can do this. This comes from Beadler. Okay, can we see this? I don't know if I can. Oh, I think I can. So there's a sequence of moving through the bones in the body, becoming aware not only of the bones, but also trying to visualize illumination coming from the marrow in our bones. And according to Beadler, within the marrow in our bones is where our magnetic center lies. So I'm going to see if I can flip through this. Hopefully I can. So I'm just going to go through it first, just to show you. So, you know, the right, and you can bring your awareness to it, the bones in your right lower leg, the bones in your right upper leg, your pelvic bone, the bones in your upper left leg, the bones in your lower left leg, from your spinal column all the way up to your skull, the bones in your right arm, the bones in your lower right arm, the bones in your upper right arm, and then the bones in your lower right arm. And then I've got them all together, these bones that we did, you know, to try to imagine this illumination, this light shining out from the marrow within our bones. Now I don't know what I have to do to go back, because I'm just going to quickly go back. I can't seem to start over again. So let's just begin by becoming aware of our lower right leg, the bones in our lower right leg, and then become aware of the bones in our upper right leg, the bones in our upper right leg, or the bone, and then become aware of our hip bones, and then become aware of the bone in our upper left leg, and then the bone in our lower left leg, and then up our spinal column to our skull, and then our upper right arm, our lower right arm, our upper left arm, and our lower left arm. And then I've actually added this last one because we're trying to visualize the marrow in the bones illuminating. So I've put this at the end. Now there's a specific exercise. Let me some of you may be aware of the various prayers that Mr. Gurdjieff includes in Beelzebub Tales. We have a positive, we have a negative, and we have a reconciling element. You just stop this for a second. So we have a positive, negative, and reconciling element. We're three-brained beings. We have a head brain, and the head brain is in our the cerebral hemispheres of our brain. And then we have a body brain, and according to Mr. Gurdjieff, the body brain goes from the cerebellum down our spine, and it's located in the gray matter of our spine, though the center of gravity of it is in the base of our spine. And for instance, there is an exercise, I won't get into it today, called the 4 Ideals exercise, where we're taught to breathe I into our spine and am into the body. I into the spine and am into the body, because the spinal brain is located there. Our feeling brain is located in our solar plexus. It's located in all of the nerves and everything within our solar plexus. And the feeling brain represents the reconciling element. So the head brain is the positive, the body brain is the negative, and then what reconciles them is the feeling. And we can find this law of 3 represented throughout nature in many different things. I ran to the store. And in English we have, it's like we go from the head to the feelings to the body, because the verb is what links and reconciles the subject and object. So all of our language is based on the law of 3. So I is the positive, ran is the reconciling element, and to the store is the object. In Korean, it would be I to the store ran. So the basic subject, verb, object, or subject, object, verb, or verb, subject, object. These are the 3 different forms of language. So we can say I ran to the store, I to the store ran, or ran I to the store. The ran I to the store, putting the verb in front. This is in Irish, it's Hebrew, Arabic, certain other languages. So these 3 different possibilities. They say SVO, SOV, or VSO. So verb, subject, object are the 3 elements of language. So these are found in everything. They manifest within ourselves. The head, the affirming brain, the body, the denying brain, and the the emotions in the viscera, in our solar plexus as the reconciling brain. But one of Mr. Gurdjieff's most famous prayers, and there's a couple of them, and there are two forms that can be done with this exercise. And one is wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling. Transubstantiate in me for my being. We're asking the highest powers of the universe to come within us in that moment. And so, just switching back to this, in the lower left leg, we say holy. In the upper, we say affirming. In the pelvis, we say holy. In the upper left, we say denying. In the lower, we say holy. Up our spine, we say reconciling. Transubstantiate in our right upper arm. Transubstantiate in me, in the lower left arm, for my being. So let me just move back. Whoops. I don't know. So let's just say this, and I'm going to add these visuals so that we can just work through them. Holy affirming. Holy denying.
Holy denying.
Holy reconciling.
Holy reconciling.
Transubstantiate in me, for my being. So let me just go back again. So wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being. And I will be turning this into a little Instagram square video, just with the words and everything, so that we can learn the sequence. Let's just do it again. Wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiate for me in my being. Now, not only saying this as we sit here, Paul Beadler also said this is a walking exercise. So as you walk, think the word holy in your left lower leg, affirming in the bone in your left upper or your right upper leg, holy in your pelvic bone, denying in your upper, holy reconciling. So as you walk, and to try to figure out, so transubstantiate in me for my being. So as you walk, and there's no proper way to pace this. And the interesting thing is, for those of you who have read Beelzebub's Tales, Mr. Gurdjieff talks about the fact that our lives are unnecessarily shortened. And one of the reasons this occurs is because the three centers operate and do not really have anything in common with them. And he says if we introduce a regulatory mechanism that can regulate them, we can increase our lifespan. And I will be going through the Catherine Hulme document. I'll be posting it. I'll be turning all of these into inner exercises and focusing on things that I think important. But she talks about how some people can die death by reading newspapers. We just think too much with our head brain. My mother died by thirds. She developed dementia, and she wasn't there. She had overused her head brain, and so the other two brains were still there, working its way out. And he said that one of the ways, or this is within Catherine Hulme, we begin to regulate the process is to engage in two at least bring two of the brains together. So our walking brain, our physical brain, the one that's located in our spine, walks. It walks as an automatic habit. But when we bring the holy, affirming, holy, denying, holy, reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being, when we bring these words and this process into the act of walking, we are actually engaging in a two-brained form of awareness. And so we are beginning to regulate this. And when we regulate these three brains and we bring them into conjunction, according to Mr. Gurdjieff in Beelzebub Tales, this will actually extend our life, learning to work in this fashion. So, going back to this, so holy, holy affirming, holy denying, holy reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being. And then I've added this last one just to imagine illumination in all of these limbs, to try to sense them all together in whatever way we can. Now, there's another prayer that Mr. Gurdjieff said, the same three. Holy God is the head. Let me go back. Holy God is the head. Holy firm is the body. And holy immortal is the reconciling element. And then have mercy on us. So holy God, holy firm, holy immortal, have mercy on us. And it's said this way: holy God, holy firm, holy immortal, have mercy on us. And then again, to just try to imagine the marrow being illuminated from within. And again, we can do the sitting to bring our body awareness into this process, to be aware of our body. But again, this is also, it's a moving exercise as well. It can be done both. So as we're walking, and you don't have to do each word with the pace or whatever. You have to find one that's comfortable. So holy God, holy, firm, holy, immortal, have mercy on us. And then imagine the marrow illuminating. So let's just do this, become aware, just watch on the screen. That way I don't have to say too many words. Holy, affirming, holy, denying, holy, reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being. And then the illumination of the marrow. And let's just go back. Holy, affirming, holy, denying, holy, reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being, and illuminating our marrow. Everything should be done 3 times. So holy, affirming, holy, denying, holy, reconciling, transubstantiate for me, or transubstantiate in me for my being, and the illumination of our marrow. And then let's do the next one. Holy God, holy, firm, holy, immortal, have mercy on us. And then illuminate all of your marrow. Just visualize it illuminating. Holy God, holy, firm, holy, immortal, have mercy on us. And illuminating the marrow.
Are you sharing your screen right now?
Oh, am I not?
I don't think you are.
I don't think I am. Sorry. Well, let's just do, okay. At any rate, I will be posting this. We'll just do it one last time, and I thought I was sharing that. I was clicking through it on my own. So we'll do it one last time. Holy God, holy, firm, holy, immortal, have mercy on us. And illuminating. So just try to keep some of this exercise, however we did this, within ourselves. And the way to do this is to finish with the words and repeat in your mind after me, may results from this exercise be transformed or transubstantiated within me for my being. What I will do is any comments on that? Any observations?
I feel really solid after focusing on the bones. That's kind of I've not really worked with that before, with the actual bone structure. I just feel very present and solid. I feel my weight. I'm more conscious of my weight. And there's kind of a heat running up my system.
Yeah, when I was in the Bennett group, we did some bones and marrow exercises. I'm going to make an aside. Within the Hebrew Bible, there are 3 terms that represent the breath, that represent the soul, and that represent the spirit. And they are often translated with the same word. And so we don't understand the distinctions between them. But one of the words is nefesh, which is the soul, the breath, the spirit in all life. The other is ruach, which is the soul, the breath, the spirit that enters into life forms that possess a spinal column, so chordate life forms. And then there is neshama, which is the soul, the breath, the spirit that comes from above. And nefesh, another translation of that is flesh, and then ruach is bones, and then neshama is marrow. So for instance, Ezekiel, there's the famous Ezekiel, the Valley of the Dry Bones, where God says, I will breathe breath into these bones and bring Israel to life. And he uses the word ruach. So it's related to the bones in our body. And, whether or not these are metaphors for the 3 different levels of being, the flesh representing the earthly level of world 48, the bones representing the planetary level of world 24, and the marrow representing the solar level of world 12. These are found throughout the Bible. There's something called the Strong's Biblical Concordance. I actually owned the book, but now it's all online. And you can type in a certain word, and you can see every occurrence of that word in the Bible. And years ago, I went and I found the teachings in the Bible metaphorically and many different ways. And I researched I look at every single incident of these words as they were found in the Old Testament, particularly the Tanakh. And when people talk about body, soul, and spirit, soma, psyche, pneuma are the words that St. Paul used. He was actually translating into Greek these three ideas. Soma is the body. Psyche, they translate that as the soul, but that's really the self at the level of essence. And then pneuma is the solar, the self at the element of the sun and where the real I is. So these concepts are found in the Bible. So the exercise I was taught, and I will, bring it into, later ones, was to become aware of our flesh, then to become aware of the bones, and then to become aware of the marrow within the bones. So these exercises, they're all connected to Mr. Gurdjieff. And the one that I just did, let me see, okay, the two of them, the Beadler exercises, I'm just posting the text on our the messages, our message board, and I will also post them in the Gurdjieff group. I better actually in the Gurdjieff group give a little bit of an explanation before I fully post them. So it's important to begin working through these just by walking and bringing that awareness, wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being, or, holy God, holy firm, holy immortal, have mercy on us. Doing the phrases requires a lot of head-brain focus. And we're bringing the head brain into this process. We're connecting the head brain. Francis, who can't always make it, I was talking to him last week, and I was trying to recall an exercise that I was taught when I did movements. And it was to do with the hands. And basically, you bring the thumb and finger, index finger, then the thumb and the middle finger, the thumb and the fourth finger, and the thumb and the baby finger, and then the thumb and the baby finger, the thumb and the fourth finger, the thumb and the third or middle finger, the thumb and the index finger. And you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, or 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you just work your way up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're harmonizing the brains. Then Francis told me that the way he was taught it was to add, to me this is a level of complexity because I've never done it, was to do it A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, B, C, D, E, E, C, D, B, and to work up through the alphabet that way. And then he said that he was also taught through the movements classes to add a real level of complexity to it. So you start with the right thumb and index finger, and then the right thumb and baby finger. And so one way you work from the index finger to the baby finger, at the same time you work the opposite way. And then you add the counting or the letters. Just trying to start, the one side. This is very difficult for the moving instinctual center to follow. And you want to get it to the point where the intellectual center is involved. So, you start with the index and baby finger. The index and baby finger, the right hand. The index and thumb on the right hand, the thumb and baby finger on the left hand, and then simultaneously work your way. I can't do it when I'm trying to explain it and talk about it. But, this was something I was told to do, just sit on the subway. And I was just taught to do it with one hand. I was taught to do it with my left hand. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just work your way up. And we're harmonizing. We're bringing those two aspects into play. Now I want to get back, for what I wanted to talk about today, was it all begins with self-observation. Self-observation in terms of, I just want to make sure I'm using the right word. Regulator. Regulator was the word that Mr. Gurdjieff used when he talked to Catherine Hume. A regulator is bringing the two centers so that they are forced to work together. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to continually think of the next level and the next level and the next level. It's forcing our head brain and our body brain to work together. So this exercise is a regulator, as are the beetle bone exercises, the moving up of the body. We are creating these regulators that are forcing our two minds to work together. Now, in terms of self-observation, self-observation is a regulator. By observing ourselves, we collect impressions. We begin to collect and understand things about ourselves. And I'm just going to read this. Just give me a second and I will, or you know what, rather than have to post it, I will post it. I will do it so that anyone who watches this video can also see these words. Just give me 1 second. Share screen. Whoops. I may have to shrink this slightly. Yeah. It is possible to divide physical events into 1, the class of behavior which everyone can observe, and 2, into the class which ordinarily only ourselves can notice. The example of the first are postures, gestures, habits, and of the second, sense impressions, including the kinetic, breathing, pulse beat, temperature, etc. The point to make sure is that the whole field be covered, and this is not impossible since the varieties of our behavior are not infinite. Perhaps the easiest way for a serious beginning consists in the effort to be currently aware first of the general manner in which the body is acting, as for instance, whether it be sitting, walking, speaking, eating, or just what its mass action is at any given moment. Even in our waking state, these things go on in our sleep, for we are scarcely more conscious of them as they happen than a somnambulist. The mechanism, let us say, is on its way. The mechanism, let us say, is on, I think I must have made a mistake there. Is on its way to take the train. The mechanism, let us say, is on its way to take the train, and suddenly it breaks into a run. So the mechanism she's talking about is the body's waking sleep, and how the physical body just is, that's the mechanism. The mechanism, let us say, is on its way to take the train, and suddenly it breaks into a run. We now wish to be in the position to make the immediate statement without reflection. Now my organism is running. And almost everyone will maintain that this is nothing new, that he has always known when such activities take place, leaving aside the answer that not often enough we wake up to find ourselves somewhere and have no recollection of our arrival. Let it be added that this knowing things is precisely what we are not suggesting. There is a vast gulf between knowing that one is walking and being conscious of the walking activity that goes currently forward in the body. So basically, it's not a head-brain labeling of our actions. It's bringing awareness to ourselves. And then further on, do physical work every day, consciously with self-observation. That takes will. We cannot think without will. So here she's also saying that we should do some kind of physical activity every day, going for a walk, going for a bike ride, going to the gym, digging in the garden, taking the dog for a walk, doing something that gets us into our body, that involves the moving instinctual center and gives us the opportunity to examine our body, to pay attention to our body, to observe our body. It all begins at the level of physical. Techniques for self-observation. Some of these, and I talked about this one last week, verge towards the emotional, but to observe our tone of voice, to observe our tone of voice, to observe our tone of voice. Fortunately, as a hypnotherapist, I play with my tone of voice all the time. Gestures. I'm very, for me, I gesture with my hands a lot. I'm very, very physically with my hands. But gestures of the face, facial expressions, our posture, carriage, that's the way we carry ourselves, the way we move, our facial expressions, weight, temperature. And then she says weight, not physiological, rather the feeling of heaviness on awakening in the morning or the lightness, clues to our emotional state. Just correct that. I just typed this out, just starting today at 9:30, thinking I want to get this all done. Temperature, our emotional temperature. So at first with the self-observation, all we are doing is getting data on ourselves. And then further on, she says, participate in your gestures observed. So when I'm moving my hands right now and I'm gesturing as I'm speaking, to bring an awareness, to observe this gesturing, to be the observer, the witness in the action, to observe them. And here she says, self-observation is the first regulator. So find out the repertory of your own gestures. And then what I said earlier, subjugate to one single eye the personality in you. Say over and over again, I have a body. Gestures are speedy and proficient, habitized from birth. It is almost too fast for it to observe. Here, the personal equation is pernicious. That's to think we are our body, but remember the body is something outside the I. So self-observation is not the body observing the body. We must not identify with the body. So these, profound things here, I'm going to be posting these. I'll post them on the actual group on Facebook and on our message board so that you'll be able to read them and reflect on them. But the first step is self-observation, to collect the impressions within ourselves, just to observe the body. So to bring your awareness back to the effect of gravity on your body, to bring your awareness to your spine, to your bones, to bring your awareness to where your feet are pressing down against the ground, bring your awareness to where your pelvic bones are pressing against the seat and the under part of your legs are pressing against the seat, to begin to observe your body, not as the body observing itself, but as if it were, and it is, something that is not you. The real I is not in the body. The real I possesses the body. I have a body. So the body is my possession. It is not who I am. Years ago, I would tell people, we think we are our body, but imagine if I had a sword and I cut your arm off. That would no longer be you. That would be outside of you. We can cut all our arms off, or both our arms off and our legs off. And, as long as we get, proper medical attention, we can live. So what is really composed of ourselves? We can have our nose, our ears, all sorts of parts of ourselves cut off. We can have our hips replaced with titanium and, different parts of our body replaced. And so if they can be replaced, if they can be cut off, if, artificial aspects can be implanted and take that function, it's obvious that it's not who we are. I remember back in the early 80s, the Jarvik heart, there was a dentist who had an artificial heart, an artificial pump in his chest that kept him alive for a couple of months. It made the news. This was before the internet. There was always a little story every day or every week about the fact that now he's been 10 days on an artificial heart, keeping him alive. And he was in a hospital room. He was able to talk, see his family. Eventually he did die, but he had this machine in his chest. At the most basic element, we think of being human within our heart. So if we're not our body, what are we? We're something else. So to try and bring our awareness to the fact that, I have a body. To try to become aware of our gestures, the gestures in our face, our movements. One of the things I now that the good weather is, I'm going to get my daughter to follow behind me, in front of me, beside me. And I'll do it in a way that I will share with everyone, and then advise you, try to get people in your life to do the same. We have technology that they didn't have in Mr. Gurdjieff's day. So, someone walks behind you with a smartphone. Do you know what you look like when you're walking from behind? You're walking from behind, and there are people who 100 yards away will know it's you. What is it about your gait from behind that makes you so recognizable? We only look out from our eyes. We don't know what we look like from angles. When we see photographs of ourselves from our profile, it's very different because we're so used to looking in the mirror and seeing ourselves from this point of view. So we have smartphones. Technology is now readily available to really allow us to observe ourselves. So I want my daughter, I'm going to get her, she's so busy, to, be walking from behind, me walking from the front, me walking from the side, sitting down, standing up, lying down, getting up from a lying position. Some of the normal things that I do on a regular basis, and to film them so I can really be observing my body. It's like stepping out and detaching from my body. So we have this wonderful opportunity. I'm not, don't do this right now. This is, building up to this. Just try to be in your body. Biedler goes on and, on his website, there are other things that he has. He's got one just about the bones in the foot. But when eating, first focus on your eyes looking at the food. Then bring your attention to the nose smelling the food. Then bring your attention to the mouth while chewing the food. And then bring your attention to the throat while swallowing the food. Then bring your attention to the chest while food descends. and bring your attention to your navel while food arrives in the stomach. So to break down the eating into these different steps. He also has a note where he says, when sitting on the toilet, become aware of your navel. Become aware of the middle of your lower abdomen, and then become aware of your anus. Mr. Gurdjieff said that the law of seven, the law of octaves, is reflected in going to the toilet. He implied that he observed this when he was peeing, as a man standing up peeing, that there would be like a do, re, mi, a pause, a fa, sol, la, si, do, a pause, and become aware of those pauses when you're urinating, to bring this awareness into ourselves in whatever way we can. I will be emphasizing all of this over and over and over again, and going into emotions and going into all sorts of different things. In the last week, I've realized what I have to do is I have to collect from all the different sources, all of the inner exercises I can, and bring them into a coherent whole. So to do the Catherine Hulme stuff, and to do the Reality of Being, which contains a lot of profound inner exercises, John de Salzman's book, that are hidden within it. The Beadler, the Northion or the Endless Search website, some of the things that I learned in Bennett, and to bring them together into a comprehensive whole so that we can understand the many different ways that we can begin to work on ourselves. But it all begins with the body. We want to get so good at this bodily awareness of sensing our body here and now in this moment, being aware of our breathing, being conscious of our breath and breathing, being conscious of our body breathing, being conscious of the effect of gravity on our body, being conscious of as many different things in our body as possible, so that ultimately we can hold our body in the back of our awareness. I think it's in page 1171 in Beelzebub Tales. He talks about the reason of knowing and the reason of understanding. He's really giving the most explicit instructions that I've ever encountered for self-remembering. So the head brain has to be in the active position, the body brain in the passive position, and then between them something grows, which is the feelings and the awareness of the feelings. But in order to hold the body in the passive position, we have to start with it in the active position and really strengthen our ability to observe our body, to become aware of our body, to become aware of our breathing, aware of the touch of clothing on our body, the air that touches our face, to be aware of the hair on our head, for me to be aware of the earbuds in my ears. If you have glasses or jewelry or shoes or socks or whatever, to really do our best to become as aware of our physical body as we can, because the receiving of external impressions and the thoughts and pictures in the head brain ultimately have to be in first position, and the body has to be in the second position, and then in third position, the feelings. A little later, right at the very end of that chapter, the chapter on form and sequence, the very last paragraph of that chapter also reveals that self-remembering has a twin. And Mr. Gurdjieff has often used the phrase, and a lot of people don't understand what he means, active being mentation. So that when we ponder something, when we think with our head brain and some issue we need to work through, whenever we ponder, we should also be holding, while we are pondering this issue, something we want to understand at a deeper level, we should always be holding also in the second position the awareness of our body. In Search of the Miraculous, he makes the observation when he's talking to Spency and some of the other people, you've missed the most important thing, is that, you are not here. He begins the discussion on self-remembering. It's like, we are not here. What only thing that we have that exists here and now in this present moment is our physical body. It's the only, and our perceptions, our feelings, everything are done within our physical body. And yet most people are almost like disincarnate beings. They're walking down the street and they're thinking about Joe, and he shouldn't have said this and that, and the self-talk, and in the mechanical state, there is no awareness of their body. So they really are like disincarnate beings, very, very ephemerally connected to their body. Our body is what is here and now in this present moment. Our body is what connects us to this point in space and time. And so this is why it's very important to begin with the body. Okay, there's my talk for today. Any comments, any questions, any reflections?
Yeah, if I'm allowed to speak. First of all, at the beginning, like when we did the first exercise, when we focused on the bones and on the parts of the body, I felt the following. Well, first I felt that there was a drop of tear in my left eye, which I felt like it's like coldness, and I felt like there is a drop of tear in the left eye. My left side was blocked when I was breathing and starting from the feet. I felt that the energy could flow very fast and better than in the left side. So I felt that there was it was blocked at the beginning. Then it went well, and I felt a colder energy. There was an heaviness in the upper part of the chest, and also in the lower part of the chest, right part, and there was a dry in the throat. And later I had that vision. There was a door, and where there was light and garden. What I felt that also later after the holy prayer, I think there was pain in my upper side of my left eyebrow. I felt that pain, and there was a tingle in my right hand. But I noticed in general that after focusing on the body, after these few days, I'm focusing on the body and the breathe and to be aware of each part of it. I started taking care more of myself, which was something I neglected before for a long time. I don't know why, but I could see that from the comments from people around me, and I felt there was something different in me. I don't know. So that's my sharing.
That's wonderful, Aman. The rest of us are probably going, I wish I had noticed all of those things. The fact that you were so conscious and aware of those different parts, that you noticed that there were differences between the sides, and that specific areas brought more of your attention to them in other areas, and that's wonderful. That's you're delving into a depth of it, and when I hear that, it means to me that you understand, you get this, and you're able to do this by being that aware, by having those observations. Thank you for sharing.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Comments? Me, maybe.
Sure, Reggie, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say again, thank you. I think it's very difficult to do all the exercises. And what I do, I understand that I have to work on me. I mean, I have to do my own personal exercise and really work on that, because theory gives nothing. You really have to work. You really have to do it. I try to do that. I try to discover what is, easy for me to do, to feel. Maybe my hand, I do my own exercises. Feel my right hand when I'm going to open a door or something like that. I mean, it's very difficult to be aware all the day. And I think the importance is that you have to do it. Really, you have to try and try and try and try.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull something up on the screen. This is one of my favorite. When is the best time to do inner exercises?
Okay.
Remember yourself always and everywhere. The best time to actually do inner exercises is when it is the hardest, when you are the most mechanical. But a lot of, I was talking to this a bit with Martin in Norway. Is there, on the screen yesterday, that you go to a lot of, spiritual meetings and whatever, and they tell you to focus on meditation and to meditate. And you should set aside like 30 minutes to meditate every day, and you should set your clock and whatever. The thing about this system is that it aims to transform our entire life, and it's done within life. So we do not set aside time to engage in inner work. Wherever we are and whatever we are doing, we can be engaging in inner work. You're with a friend, just to be aware of your body, to try to sense as much of your body as you can while in the conversation, bringing your awareness back to your body is more important than sitting for 15 minutes in the morning in a chair and, trying to develop that mindful awareness, bringing these things out into life. Wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we can do inner exercises. We can bring this energy, this awareness into it. So this, it aims to change us in life. The monastic traditions that come from the East, you're supposed to leave and, go take monthly vows and join a monastery and, practice, looking at a wall every day. Within the Gurdjieff teachings, no, we're supposed to be doing this in the world. If we can't do it when our boss is yelling at us, it shows us we still have a lot of work to do. The more difficult the conditions in life, this is a paraphrase of one of the study house aphorisms on the study house wall, the greater our opportunity to grow and develop. So we don't separate inner work and inner exercises from life. Now, this being said, Mr. Gurdjieff also repeatedly told his students, particularly the new ones, do not overdo it. Even 1 hour a day of inner exercises done correctly is better than, pushing ourselves too hard. But ultimately, he said that 1/3 of our day should be devoted to sleep, 1/3 of our day towards inner work, and 1/3 to just forgetting all about it. So even within masters, even someone like Mr. Gurdjieff, it wasn't all the time, but, for 1/3 of the day to really try to bring yourself back. And 5 minutes of this done when you're in a situation like your boss is yelling at you, or your car has broken down, or whatever, is more important than sitting peacefully in a chair right after you wake up in the morning and collecting yourself. So the more we can bring this out into the world, the more important it becomes. Any other comments? Any other reflections?
So he slept 8 hours a day every day?
No, he said that we should sleep, quality is more important than quantity. But it's very difficult to get quality sleep. The way we get quality sleep, he says that what happens usually is one center observes the other during sleep, and we have to learn how to sleep in all three centers and disconnect them. I'm still in myself trying to figure this out. He said that when we dream, the dreams are one center watching the other. And I will be talking about this later. This is in Catherine Hulme, where she says, rather than doing like Jungian dream work and stuff like that, from this perspective, it's important to pay attention to our dreams to figure out which are our dreams predominantly emotional? Are they predominantly intellectual? Are they predominantly physical? Which center rules our dreams? Because when we figure that out, we will realize where we're not properly expending our energy in the day. We've got superfluous energy left over that comes out in our dreams. But he said that we shouldn't dream, that dreams are not proper sleep. We have to disconnect. And in science now, they say that the most important sleep is the non-dream deep sleep, because the cerebral spinal fluid washes through the brains and cleanses the brains and washes that guck and stuff out. And a lot of people in our society who have sleep problems, they can go to the first light sleep and the dream sleep, but it's the deep non-dream sleep that they have problems going to. I have a client who went to a sleep disorder clinic at a hospital, sleeping there overnight, monitoring her brain waves. Usually they do that to see if you have apnea, some kind of breathing condition that stops you from sleeping, and they can give you masks and whatever to take care of that. But for her, they just said, you are not going into the deepest states of sleep. And so what it means is that her centers are not fully disconnecting. This is in Paris Talks, where he says that when you dream, you need so many hours of sleep. If you don't dream, you need less. And so that's what it is in terms of dreaming and sleep. It's also important to do things like, he said, do physical activity every day. A lot of problems in the West with people who have issues of insomnia is that their body is not tired. They sit at a desk all day. They do not do anything to tire the body. So it's very important for people who do suffer from insomnia to do some physical exertion, some kind of work. The earlier in the day, the better, cardiovascular work or whatever. But at any rate, let's go through this again, sort of as we finish. And like I said, I'm going to turn this probably sometime in the next week into sort of a little Instagram inner exercise. So going through this, just again, we're doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for our fellow human beings, and we're doing this for the earth itself. So let's start and bring our attention, as you can see on the screen, to the bones in our lower right leg. Wholly affirming, wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being. And then just try to quickly visualize all of the marrow in your body like light. And we'll do it again. Wholly affirming, wholly reconciling, or wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being. And then just imagine illumination flowing out from your marrow. And we'll just do it a third time. Whoops. Wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiate in me for my being. And then imagine all of the marrow in those bones just illuminating. And then just repeat silently in your mind, may results from this exercise be transubstantiated within me for my being. And I have to add here, you know, I developed my own exercise a number of years ago in relation to this. The head brain, the body brain, and the feeling brain. So I would say wholly affirming, and I would bring my awareness to my head and imagine I could see the words wholly affirming. Then I would say wholly denying. I would bring my awareness into the sensation of self, and then I would say wholly reconciling. And I would breathe this in through feeling, in through my stomach, up through my feeling circuit to my eyes. Transubstantiate, and I would say this word in my head. Transubstantiate in me, and I would bring my awareness into my body for my being. So I would circle around and circle around. And that's how I taught myself this exercise. That's the one that I created for myself. I actually have that as a YouTube video with the moving Enneagram, just doing that. But I came across the Beadler one last week, and I know the Beadler one can be traced back to Mr. Gurdjieff. That, you know, he taught these exercises in similar ways to people. For Bennett, it was going down, you know, right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg. For Beadler, it seems to, there's another one, I won't go into it today. It seems to start in the coming up the right leg, down the left arm, up the right arm, down the left leg, up the right leg, down the right arm, up the right arm. But they're all very similar. There's like this circling motion through the body, this looping around. Any comments, any questions, anything before we go? No? Okay, try.
Question.
Pardon?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Do you have a question, Reggie?
No, no questions.
No questions. Okay. Okay, thank you all for participating today. And self-observation, I will be, you know, in the next few hours, maybe tomorrow as well, I'll be posting some of the stuff that I talked about on, you know, our message board, and I will also post it on the Facebook group that I started, so it will be available there. And just try to get yourselves thinking about this. Try to get yourselves bringing your awareness into your body, into your movements. I'm observing my gestures right now. Just being aware of how you move. Okay, take care. Blessings, all of you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye now.